So in the previous video we talked about the four processes that were involved in the BCRC cycle and their mathematical formulas that were involved in this cycles. Okay, now I have drawn the pH diagram over here. Okay, and I have mentioned the points that are over here. Now one interesting thing over here is that in the pH diagram the constant temperature lines in the superheated region are like this, and let us say like this and like this. Okay, so these are circular arcs in the superheated region. Okay, this is T naught is equals to constant for constant temperature, and this is T2 is equals to constant. Okay, and the constant entropy lines are these lines, these parallel lines drawn over here. Okay, and a specific volume line goes somewhat like this. Let us say for B1 constant specific volume, it will go somewhat like this. In the subcooled region, that is in the liquid region over here, the constant temperature lines are nearly vertical. Okay, so now why I have drawn this? Actually we need to know how we can get this temperature T2 in our processes. Okay, that will be a major point to be calculated in the numericals. This is H2, this is H1, and this is H4. Okay, so let us move further. Now we know that entropy of the liquid and ideal gas is a function of temperature only. That is from the thermodynamics we have learned this. Okay, so that's why in this region the enthalpy remains constant with the variation at constant temperature. Okay, now we are going to discuss three methods of determining temperature T2. Okay, and so these are three methods are respectively. The first method is graphically from the pH diagram. Graphically from pH diagram. Okay, so how we can determine this T2 point? Actually we know the condenser pressure in the question that would be given, and we would be knowing the evaporator pressure. Okay, so what we will do, we will extrapolate this pH line somewhat like this. Okay, and at this point we would be knowing the pressure and the corresponding temperature. So only two things are needed, two state properties are needed to specify or to know all the other properties of a point. So if we know pressure and temperature at this point, we can get entropy from the tables. Okay, we can determine the entropy at this point, the specific entropy, and we can draw the constant entropy line, because no S1 is equals to S2 we already studied in previous video. So we will draw the constant entropy line, and it will intersect at some point on this constant pressure line, that is condenser pressure Pk. So at that point we would be getting the discharge temperature T2 by extrapolating, by dropping this on this diagram. We will be getting the enthalpy also. Okay, and for the other method, that is the second method, that is using the saturation properties. That is using saturation properties. Now what does saturation properties, and what we will utilize in the saturation property? We will utilize the specific heat of vapor. Specific heat of vapor. We already studied that S1 is equals to S2, because this is an isoentropic process, and from point 2 I already told you that we can write the entropy change involved here in two parts. And at this point the entropy would be for the liquid that has been boiled and moved to this point, that is saturated vapor, and then it is superheated. So we can write it as S2 dash plus integration 2 dash to 2 dq by t. Okay, now how is this written? Actually we know that what is entropy. Entropy is just dq by t. Okay, so this S2 dash is the specific entropy of the superheated vapor, of the saturated vapor at this point 2 dash, plus the addition entropy that is that has come due to the superheating of the vapor, that is written over here, because the temperature is changing and we are assuming that heat is being transferred at a constant pressure, so it is being taken dq by t. Okay, so if we further simplify this, it can be written as S2 dash plus 2 dash to 2, and we can write it as Cp dq because the heat exchange is taking place at constant temperature. So this formula reduces to S2 dash plus Cp ln of T2 over T2 dash. Okay, and we know that S2 dash that is here, that is equal to Sg2, that is the gaseous specific entropy or vapor specific entropy at this point, and T2 dash is nothing but the condenser temperature or the saturation temperature at the condenser pressure. Okay, so this was the second method, and the third method is using the superheat tables. Now what are these superheated tables? Actually these superheat tables contains the various values of enthalpy, specific enthalpy, specific entropy, saturation temperature and saturation pressure. So using those superheat tables you can find the temperature T2 dash. How will you find that? Actually what we would be knowing, we would be knowing the specific entropy over here, and we would be knowing the pressure from this diagram. Okay, so we will look into that those tables for the condenser pressure Pk, and when this pressure comes we can look under this pressure column for the entropy which is equal to S1, and rest of the properties will be will be read from that table only. Okay, now we come to another part, that is the how to calculate refrigerant mass flow rate, that is involved in over here. Okay, so in the questions, when we will come to solving the questions, the refrigeration effect would be given in tons of refrigeration. Okay, now a thing to remember here is that 1 ton of refrigeration means 211 kilojoule per minute of energy supply. Okay, which can be converted into kilojoule per second by dividing it by 60. Okay, so if we talk about the heat exchange, that is the refrigerating effect from this 4 to 1, what would be it be equal to? It would be equal to mass flow rate into the enthalpy change, that is H1 minus H4. Okay, now this refrigerating effect, if it is given in tons of refrigeration, then we need to actually make the unit same on the both side. So this refrigerating effect, let us say it is given by Q naught and it is in ton of refrigeration, we would multiply it by 211, then here the unit will become what? Kilojoule per minute. Okay, and here mass unit will be in kilogram per minute, and this H1 minus H4, this unit would be kilojoule per kilogram. Okay, now if we rearrange them, we would be having the formula for mass flow rate of refrigerant, that would be Q naught into 211 upon H1 minus H4. This is for having mass flow rate in kilogram per minute. Okay, so this is the simple formula over here, and if you want to convert this mass flow rate in minute, just divide this by 60 because we are having minute over here. Okay, second thing is for COP. Just puts this Q naught in the formula COP, which is refrigerating effect upon work input. This refrigerating effect you can calculate from this formula, and work input also from the formula, that is work input formula is m dot into H1 minus H2. Okay, take care of the units that you use over here. Okay, another thing that to note here is very important thing, that is the volume flow rate through the compressor. Volume flow rate through compressor is written as m dot into V1, because V1 is the point where the refrigerant is entering the compressor. Okay, V1 is the specific volume at the inlet to the compressor, and it is being in meter cube per kilogram. Okay, the unit of V1 only. Okay, and heat rejected in the condenser, that we have already talked how to write it, that okay, so let me use heat rejected in the condenser. How we can write that? We can write that by QH, that is heat rejected, m dot by H2 minus H4. Okay, why it is written as H2 minus H4? Because that H3 and H4 are equal, so H2 minus H3 can be written as H2 minus H4. Okay, and which is equal to the refrigerating effect plus the work input. Okay, so just revise these formulas. And also we are having the formula for volumetric efficiency eta b. You can write these formulas with you, they would be helpful in solving the numericals. 1 plus c minus c, that is p2 over p1 to the power 1 by gamma, which can be written as 1 minus c. p2 over p1 is the pressure ratio in the compressor case. Okay, we would derive this formula in separate video. Okay, so don't worry about this. What is c over here? C is bc over bs. Bc is the clearance volume and s is the effective swept volume, and it is sometimes given as the percentage of bs in numericals. Okay, another formula for volumetric efficiency is the q actual upon q theoretical, that is the actual mass flow rate and the theoretical mass flow rate, and it can be written as m dot p1, and this is the refrigerant mass flow rate, actual mass flow rate in the inlet of the cylinder, and this is the theoretical mass flow rate. Okay, now here d is the diameter of the cylinder, l is the length of stroke on the in the compressor cylinder, n is the rpm, and n is the number of cylinders, how much cylinders the compressor cylinder is having. Okay, now if we talk about the power of compressor motor that is required in a particular power of compressor motor, for that we would be using the formula, that is compressor power upon the various efficiencies that are involved in the process, that is first is adiabatic efficiency and the second is mechanical efficiency. Okay, so the formula reduces to m dot h2 minus h1 upon eta a into eta m. Okay, this is the electrical power required in the particular process. Okay, now why this efficiency comes into play, eta a and eta m? These come into play due to the various type of mechanical losses that are involved in the particular process, and eta a is the adiabatic losses, because the process would not be totally isoentropic, it will certainly deviate practically. Okay, and what are these various mechanical losses that are involved? These are the friction between the motor shaft and the motor casing. Okay, these would be coupling losses, and this will also be the friction between the compressor shaft and crankcase bearing, and also the motor winding losses. So taking into point these considerations, these were the several formulas that we have discussed. That's all for the BCRC cycle. Thank you.